Man, this is what happens when I'm in here by myself. So, the people did not hear you for like the first like 10 minutes. See, this is why we've had these conversations, dog.
This is welcome to producer world, man.
Hey,
This
dude,
is
like no, like no joke. Like if I did not go ahead and check the chat, I would not have known. Like it's real like that. And the folks in the chat, they understand, right? Crankstar, he's been here forever. Mark Paul's been here forever. Steven Gordon been here forever. Lots of folks that have been supporting the channel from the jump. Ryan McDade, what's good? Look, I appreciate everybody in the chat because if as soon as y'all don't let me know that there's no sound, we would have done this for like however long we gonna do this without any sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna back it all the way up. And Mayberry, you got your first run at this. So now that you have composed your thoughts in a better manner, maybe not. We'll see if it comes back. And now that the stupid producer / host has fixed the sound, let's talk about Oklahoma and its opportunity to win the 2020 national championship game.
okay. Yeah. So what I was getting at is obviously the biggest question. I think when you look at this OU team, to me, I know, and the way I put it is everyone's already seems to have anointed Spencer Rattler,
Right.
the next coming of great quarterbacks in Norman. You're replacing, what is it now, 3 Heisman Trophy finalists in a row. 2 of them won the thing. I want to see the play on the field prove it first before I say that you're the next guy. So I think that comes first. I think I went into talking about the offensive line. I know it's a more inexperienced group. You do have Creed Humphrey coming back, who I think most people have on a very high list for the Remington, and then also, probably the favorite maybe for the Remington this year, and definitely on the short list, and as one of the best centers in the game. So you have him, but that is I think that's an issue. And I think the young receivers, I want to see them. We've seen flashes of brilliance from them. You're replacing CeeDee Lamb. I want to see which one of those guys, because there's a whole slew of them, and the same with the running backs, I guess. You lose Trey Sermon, but you've got a whole laundry list of guys there that I think we've seen some from guys like Ramondre Stevenson. Wow, tongue-tied there.
I just say Madre.
That's good. Yeah. I like that.
Okay. But that dude also is probably going to be suspended for the next 5 games.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Riley won't say one way or the other, but I feel like if it was wrong, he would go ahead and correct that. And he's in that boat with Trajan Bridges and Ronnie Perkins. Ronnie Perkins out here working out in these streets with his shirt off and whatnot. That was some just getting his sexy flex on. Matter of fact, Ronnie, you look good. Go back into quarantine, dog. We don't need all of that out there right now. That's all I'm saying.
Curls for the girls, man.
I'm telling you, right? But you know what? He's a defensive end with a 6-pack. Like, just out here shaming the game. But you bring up a good point about the young receivers because, like, I've written about this and I will continue to write about this. Charleston Rambo is the only real known commodity that you have at wide receiver, and he's your de facto leader, whether he wants to be or not, as a redshirt junior. Came in the same class as CeeDee Lamb and Kenneth Murray Jr., to know what I'm talking about. So,
yeah.
Opposite him, you're either looking at Jaden Hazelwood, what a lot of people think is going to be the next up-and-coming version of CeeDee Lamb, and quite literally the best wide receiver in the rankings in the 2019 class, and Theo Weiss, who I think is a better pro prospect and a much more polished dude to go along with Bridges when he's eligible to go. So you bring up a really good point because we're expecting that to be a strength of OU, but it is an unproven strength to go along with Austin Stogner at tight end. He's the Y, right? But behind him,
yeah.
You know what's behind him? True freshman.
Yeah.
True freshman. Jalen Conyers ain't even on campus yet, right? I'm not trying to throw trick questions out there, but you might move Braden Willis back because you got Michael Henderson coming in at fullback. So they got lots of new dudes and new faces, but what worries me is Riley got up to the podium and was like, yeah, we weren't very good on the offensive line last year, and we were like, uh-oh. And he's like, wait a second. You don't rush for as many yards and put up as many yards as we did last year without being good. And I was like, yes, but get back to this part where you don't think they're very good. And he's like, we're gonna have some mixing and matching on that line. I said, whoo, snap. Okay, so you return basically 5 starters on your offensive line. 4 if you don't count Eric Swinson, who didn't start the last 4 games at left tackle. But 5 dudes that started for you at some point during the season, and you're telling me that you don't feel good? That's a red flag to me, dog.
Well, it's not that. It's just, I guess, I don't know. You look at this team, and obviously, it's one of those deals. It's almost like something. There's so much firepower here and potential, but it's like it's been humming. It's a machine that's been so well oiled and humming at such a good clip for the last few years. You're almost expecting something to break eventually.
100%.
And that's the thing. I mean, like I said, when we're talking 3 Heisman finalists in a row. That's crazy. That doesn't happen. And 2 Heisman winners in a row is as rare as it gets. And you got 3 dudes up for that trophy. That's an offense that can move. And now you're putting in a guy that really hasn't played many meaningful minutes, and everyone just expects him to continue because of what he did in high school. And I can respect that. And I understand he's a really good player. I just want to see it. I want to see it on the field. I want to see it come out. And then we can talk about how this dude's a phenom and you got to worry about replacing him because he's going to leave early. That's what I want to see that in action.
So we've been talking about the offense, right, and what it's supposed to do. And I'm going to throw in here that BetOnline gives Spencer Rattler better odds to win the Heisman than Sam Ehlinger, among others, right? So how about that?
That's for the hard G, right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And we'll get to Texas here in just a little bit. But OU's problem is also on the other side of the ball because you only return 3 dudes that I absolutely positively trust. The 2 safeties and Deshaun White at linebacker. Trey Brown is going to be your de facto leader. He's going to be on the front of magazine covers. He's going to go to Big 12 Media Days if we get to have Big 12 Media Days. But he's your best defensive back. And you return a bunch of dudes from injury like John Michael Terry and Trey Norwood. And you get Jaden Davis, who's going to be a true sophomore. And you get reinforcements in the form of Bryson Washington at safety, early enrollee. And you got some other dudes that I think are going to be pretty good. Like Justin Harrington, who's not on campus yet. But you lost so much up the middle, man. Like Neville Gallimore, Dylan Famatal. Just those 2 dudes alone. Then you talk about Q Overton. Now you got to bring in 2 junior college transfers, and you got to get them to plug and play right away. And what I know about Grinch's defense is he needs to be able to get home with 4. If he gets home with 4, they can come downhill and tackle. But I still don't know what this defense is going to be, even if the offense is just as good as it was last year. And by the way, it wasn't always great. In some cases, it felt like the defense was really holding up the offense.
That's true. No, I agree with you. The secondary, to me, I know you're probably more high on it than I am.
Right.
I am one guy that I'm interested to see, and it's a guy that has gotten chances and really hasn't maximized them in the past, but he played fairly well last year, and I think that he may get a position swap at some point this year, and that's Caleb Kelly.
He's going to be a will linebacker. Where else do you think he plays?
And you don't think he could be up in the middle at the mic at some point?
No disrespect, but you know what? I'll flip this into an optimistic point of view. Brian Odom showed up as the linebackers coach to OU last year and straight up told everybody Deshaun White is the most instinctual linebacker I've ever coached.
Okay,
that's your mic, right? That's your mic. Matter of fact, I think he played.
That's a good recommendation right there.
Right, and I think he played the mic last year because Murray was called the mic, but he played a will role, right? He was
right.
He wasn't really responsible for making the calls in the middle. He was a third down end, basically, in a 4'9", coming to kill people, and he was a point and shoot type of dude. If a running back flared, he went to go kill the running back. Those sorts of things. Make it easy on him. No, I think what's going to be interesting is the guys behind Deshaun White and Caleb Kelly, because they dropped down Jamal Morris and Robert Barnes to play linebacker, which was wild interesting. And those dudes absolutely need a spring ball because they're 2 safeties that you're asking to play linebacker, but you don't have a good track record of this because they dropped down Ryan Jones to play linebacker, and he was Sam, he was Will, he was Mike, and he was never heard from again. They had that dude in a 3-point stance playing a 5 technique. And I'm going, no wonder that dude went into the portal. And you're really going to get hurt by a guy like Levi Draper, who I think is going to be a destroyer of worlds at Arkansas, but that's another story. So I get what you're saying about Kelly playing the mic, but I think if he was good enough to play the mic, he'd already be playing the mic.
Right, and I get that, and that is a good point. And my point more than anything is I think he's a guy that they really need to step up. I mean, he's been around for a while. He's, a name that when he was originally, he was like the talk of the town when he signed with OU, was he not? As everybody thought he was going to be a transformative defensive player, and he really just hasn't been that guy. And so it would be interesting to me to see if he finally does, because a lot of times when guys kind of get their feet held to the fire a little bit and they realize that they're staring off into the abyss of not playing anymore, they might try a little harder. You know what I mean? Bring a little more.
Right. No, I think you're right, and we're also talking about a Caleb Kelly who's going into, a second year where we didn't think the dude was going to be here. He was a 5-star kid, right? And he was supposed to be gone. And injuries are injuries, but he also got flat beat out for a job in 2018.
Right.
By a dude that wasn't ever supposed to beat him out for a job. And quite literally might have been the best defender on that team in 2018. It was a trash defense, but he was still good in it. I'm talking about Curtis Bolton.